Professor X is not Martin Luther King. So again, no disrespect to anybody who feels strongly about this, but let's dive into it. What's up, Meisterville? Let's talk about why Professor X is not Martin Luther King. So a while back, I did a video on why Magneto was not Malcolm X. Click now to check it out if you're interested. So similarly here, I want to discuss the nuance that is often missed when this comparison is made. Okay, first reason why MLK and Xavier are nothing alike. Child soldiers. Don't remember MLK radicalizing kids for a war against, black people, because that's technically what Xavier was doing. Because if we think about it for a second, Xavier had the X-Men fighting mutants flat out, and they were designed to look like something the humans would accept with their superhero costumes. They were supposed to be akin to something like the Avengers or whatever, and this was Xavier's doing. That would be like MLK saying that the black quote-unquote peaceful people need to fight the black quote-unquote radical people, which is something that MLK never really approved of. Reason number 2. Xavier did not criticize humans hard enough.
Never. Fool, you still dream of peace with those who would destroy all mutants? Is this your answer? This horror? After all the suffering we both have seen, you wish me to wage war on 6 billion humans?
So until recently, where Xavier interestingly pulled a Malcolm X-esque type maneuver, he never really went at humans verbally for their treatment of mutants. MLK and Malcolm X disagreed, but MLK just didn't want violence of any kind. And while he disagreed with riots, he understood the nature of rioting and why it happened. Whereas Xavier, I dug around to find a panel where he outright rails and goes at humans for their treatment of mutants, but this was the best that I could find. Which is an MLK type speech, but it's the I have a dream variant speech that we have heard over and over and over again. But people forget that MLK had speeches like this.
But not only did they give the land, they built land grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Professor X rarely criticized humans for their behavior towards mutants, whereas Martin Luther King did not let white people off the hook for anything. He literally told America that they should make America what they said it was on paper. King was about reforming racist institutions and making them fair, whereas Xavier did not hold that belief. If you want proof, let's look at the Xavier Institute for Mutants. It is an institution for mutants by mutants, created to help mutants. That doesn't sound very integrationist to me. So, at best, Xavier is a mixed bag of philosophies and a pretty big hypocrite, which makes for a good character, but he's not Martin Luther King. They intersect at a couple of points, but he's not MLK. If anything, if we have to play this game of comparison between fiction and real life, which I was never comfortable in doing that, especially with the X-Men, because the X-Men, they represent a couple of things I find problematic when it comes to comic book representation, which I'll cover in another video. So subscribe for that if you want to see what that's about, if you want to see what my problems with the X-Men have always been. But if we are to do this comparison of, fiction and real life figures, Xavier in his behavior was a bit more Malcolm X leaning. He was kind of more in line with Malcolm X, which is why with his current run in comic books, it's quite interesting to see that he is leaning more into his Malcolm X-esque tendencies, which I mentioned earlier in the video. I mean, if we're talking about the Institute, that's a Malcolm X move. If we're talking about shipping off all the X-Men to a country where they follow their own rules and have their own regulations and judge each other based on their own panel of people who are qualified to judge mutants and etc. That's Malcolm X like moves. Now, not saying Xavier's Malcolm X, not in the slightest, but I'm just saying that's why it's kind of folly to say that Xavier was Martin Luther King or is Martin Luther King of comic books or whatever you want to call it. He's just not. So talk to me in the comments, Meisterville. Let me know how you're feeling. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let's keep it respectful and all of that stuff. It's okay to disagree. I do not mind being disagreed with as long as it's respectful. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having a conversation about this in the comment section, Meisterville. Look at that, you made it to the end of the video. You are spectacular. If you like this video, I have another one on screen, I've got a playlist on screen, and I've also got my icon on screen that you can click on to subscribe. Remember to ring that bell and hit that like button if you do subscribe, and I will see you all in other videos because Meisterman has got to be out. Peace.